Hello, this is Elif from ARIQuestions.com. Today's video is about how to read and analyze NCARB's ARI questions. In this video, I will solve a question provided in the free NCARB Practice Exam for PA division. I'm sharing this content solely for educational purposes. This question is NCARB's intellectual property, and I am not claiming ownership of it. I highly encourage you to explore NCARB's free practice exams. So let's begin. So the objectives of this exercise is I want to show you how I analyze the questions and the options, how I group the correct options and eliminate the incorrect ones, and how I unveil the conceptual relationship between the questions and the correct options, because this conceptual relationship is the goal of the question writer. Okay, the question has a concept, and there is always a connection between the concept, and the correct option or options. So first, read the question carefully. Use the highlight tool to highlight the important parts. It's very useful. Then analyze the options and eliminate the most obvious ones as you are first reading the options, okay? Some of them are like super obvious. Let's look at this question. This is from the NCARB free PA exam. It says, an architect is designing a new suburban office building for a client. The client has the following requirements for their new facility. It says separate employee and visitor parking, ease of wayfinding for visitors to the facility, control over all access points to the building, employee gym and locker rooms to promote staff well-being. Frequent deliveries should not interfere with normal business operations. Which of the following options related to building access should be considered by the design team? So I think all of these criteria are important. Obviously, that's the point of the question. I think the first two sentences are just generic. Nothing to highlight there, but the criteria is important. So I highlighted those. And then I think this part is important because even though they give 5 criteria, this is a weird question, by the way. I think this is not an easy question because they give 5 criteria and you immediately jump to conclusion that all these 3 options should check these 5 criteria. But it's not like that. The question says options related to building access. So you are going to read this, but not all of them are related to building access, okay? So you need to pick the ones that are related to access, building access. So I think that's makes it a bit trickier. So the first one says visibility of main entrance. So when you look at NCARB's explanation, they highlight the second criteria. They say ease of wayfinding for visitors. Obviously, when a main entry is visible, it's easier to find it, right? But I think one thing they missed is the third one. It says control over all access points to the building. So when you have visibility, you have control, okay? So that's also like good for security. So I think the option A is hitting 2 points here. Ease of wayfinding and control over all access points because it's visible. When I say the conceptual relationship, that's what I'm talking about. So I think that's why option A is correct. When you look at option B, so option B says combined service entry and main entry. Yes, this is regarding building access. It hits the building access portion, but the criteria said frequent deliveries should not interfere with the normal business operations. So when you combine service and main entry, of course, it's going to interfere. The deliveries are going to interfere the normal business operations. So one of them says combine. The other one is talking about separating them. So they should not interfere. So these two are going against each other. So I think it makes option B obviously incorrect because it's directly going against the criteria. By the way, I solved these questions first myself without looking at the options. What you are hearing right now is exactly my thought process when I'm doing it on my own, okay? So I tell myself, okay, A is probably correct, B is probably incorrect. C is weird. It says new traffic light at main entry to campus. So main entry to campus, kind of related to building access, but I don't think it's the building access. It's talking about the vehicle access to the campus, right? So it's like a settlement type of thing. So it is not just like one building. So did any of the criteria said anything about traffic? We have a parking thing here. It's a separate employee and visitor parking, but none of these are concerned about the traffic. So I think option C could be a consideration if you are just looking from a design architectural perspective. All of these options can be considered, but you need to focus on the question. Stay in the zone of the scenario, okay? If you look at the scenario, there's no concern regarding the traffic control, so I skipped option C. Option D says separate service entry with loading dock. So last criteria said deliveries should not interfere with the business operations, and this says separate. Remember the B said combined, separate, these are the opposite. So these two can never be part of the same group, okay? So what are the groups? Correct options group, incorrect options group. It says check 3. So we have 6 options. So 3 of them are correct, 3 of them are incorrect. You can never have B and D as part of your correct or incorrect group. They should be on the separate groups, okay? Because they are the opposite statements. One of them says combined, the other one says separate. Regarding this question, separate is the correct answer because it says should not interfere here, right? But in any case, they cannot be in the same group. Option E says shared parking area. Again, shared and combined are similar words. So, and look at the question, separate and separate. So these two, sorry, B and E are speaking the same language, but they are speaking the opposite language of the question. So B and E are definitely going to be in the same group. Again, either incorrect or correct, but the same group. And they cannot be in the same group with D because D says separate. So when you look at the words in this way, the concepts in this way, you will have a huge help during the exam. Even though you never designed a suburban office building, let's say for a client, we were never concerned with how to design like visitor parking, employee entrance, all that, okay? Let's say you don't have much experience, you can still use these strategies. And the last one says dedicated staff entry adjacent to employee gym. So dedicated, separate, right? Dedicated, separate. So here you see that option D and F are speaking the same language of the question. There's also another thing. It says promote staff well-being. So there's an employee gym. So there's a hint to that. Even though it's not a direct connection, it's a bit of like indirect connection, but it is still given you there. It's not random. So I hope this made sense. That's why the options A, D, and F are the correct options.